Hello everybody, I just want to give you a quick directions on how to use this applet that we're going to use for the section 7 graphs of sine, cosine, and the tangent functions. First thing you want to do is make sure that you are on that section 7 and then that you click on the graphs of sine, cosine, and y equals tangent. Now the window that does come up, it does have a lot of writing, and not much of it you're going to have to pay attention to in all honesty. Maybe expand it out a little bit, and then as you can see down here, if you scroll down a little bit, you have this interactive tutorial using Java Applet, and click here to start. Don't worry about any of these questions or anything like that. I've got separate questions that I'm going to want you to answer, so you don't have to worry. And then just go ahead and click here to start, and it brings up this applet right here. Now, what I want you to do is, right here you can see that sine is the only thing that's checked off. Keep it that way. Play around with each one of these separately, and then you can graph them all in the same graph if you want. And then if you hit start, what happens is it starts in standard position, which is right here, and the point is traveling around the circle. And you can see a lot of the things that are going on in this. As that point travels around the circle, this is what's going on with your sine graph. This is how it's looking. If you wanted to stop it, just go ahead and hit suspend, and it stops it, and it's stopping right now at the angle 144 degrees. Everything in this applet is in degree mode, so if you were thinking in terms of radians, you would have to kind of convert everything to radians. And then you can start back up again. And there you go, at 186 degrees, and so on. It's a little bit slow. I do think that I wish this was a little bit faster of an applet, but it gives you a real good idea of what the shape of the sine curve looks like, and how as that point travels around the circle, what the shape of the graph is actually going to turn out to be. And you can keep going. You don't have to suspend or hit stop or anything like that. It does automatically stop at 360 degrees. That's one revolution of the circle. And you can start it back up, and it keeps going. And I would suggest doing that with all of your functions that you have over here. You've got cosine, and you can see what the graph of cosine looks as compared to sine. It does do it in a different color, which is excellent in case when you want to graph all three on the same thing. And you can see what the graph of tangent looks like. Tangent is always the one that tends to be a little bit more confusing than the sine and cosine curves. So I would highly suggest when you graph tangent, you do it separately. You do that completely separately at first, so you kind of get a real good picture of what you're looking at here. And then hit suspend, and say you wanted to start over again just to take a look at some things, hit reset, and you can start yourself back up. And so that's what tangent is looking like. So hopefully this was helpful. What I would suggest at this point right here is I'm going to hit suspend. I'm going to minimize this applet. I'm going to minimize this right here. And what I would suggest doing after you play around with the applet and just look at what the graphs end up being, what I would suggest doing is going over here to the worksheet, open with Microsoft Word, yes, and print this up. It might be a good idea to have this printed. If you have maybe Windows 7, you can do a split screen. But I always like to have the physical copy in front of me just so I can see what the questions are that I'm going to need to answer. And this is your assignment that you're going to have. You're going to have to look at these questions, answer these questions, and in the directions you can also see that you will be required to answer the questions and upload screenshots from your applet. So you will be required, if you go back to this applet right here, to include pictures of your graphs into that Microsoft Word document. And I have all of that information on how to do that if you click over here so you can view everything. That information is located all the way down here in the In Case You Didn't Know section. How to take a picture of what's on my computer screen. You can take a look at that, and that will show you exactly how to add a screenshot into your Microsoft Word document. So I hope this was helpful.